It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for Season 9 of The Walking Dead. This is going to be my episode predictions for Season 9, Episode 5, called What Comes After. Of course, this is Rick's final episode. It's a pretty big episode. I can't wait for it. Now, before I actually jump into my overall predictions, I don't want to give a detailed prediction, but I do want to give a general prediction about what I think will happen. But before I do that, I do want to read over the summary or description of this episode and kind of talk about that a little bit before I share my overall opinions and predictions. The description reads, "What comes after? Rick is forced to face the past as he struggles to maintain the safety of the communities and protect the future he and Carl envisioned." So of course there's really not much we can say about that. We do note that Rick is injured and he has all of these different hallucinations that he's going to have throughout the episode. And, it's all coming down to this. There is really nothing else we can say about that. But the one thing I do want to kind of mention about this description here is that it says Rick is forced to face the past, which definitely connects to the hallucinations. He's going to be seeing characters from the past. He's going to be seeing Shane, of course. He might be seeing Lori. He might be seeing Carl. He might be seeing Herschel. So there's all of these characters that are coming to Rick in his hallucination, and that's what this is referring to. Now, one thing I do want to say is I hope that they bring Carl and maybe even Lori back, because like this says, everything is about the future he and Carl envisioned. And now that his story might be ending, it makes the most sense for Carl to be coming to his vision as well. So I really hope that Carl actually comes to Rick's vision in tonight's episode. I really hope so. But other than that, going into my overall predictions, I think there's going to be three main parts to this episode. And they're all in a way linked together. One is Maggie going to Alexandria to visit Negan. Of course, they did tease that last episode. She's on her way to Alexandria, and based on a sneak peek we have for this episode, we do know that she gets there and is stopped by Michonne. So we know it's happening. We don't know if they're going to have their encounter in this episode or the one after, but we do know that Maggie is going to get to Alexandria. So that's going to be one part of the episode that I'm absolutely excited for. In terms of what I think would happen when they meet, when they interact, I think it's going to be intense, and the actors have talked about that it's going to be an intense scene, but I think it's going to end much like how it ended in the comics. In the comics, those two characters definitely have an interaction after Glenn's death, but the interaction happens way in the future. In terms of the timeline we are in right now and the timeline from the comics, this doesn't happen for another 2 seasons in the comics if we're going with the same pace. But they are bringing that in earlier because, of course, Lauren Cohan, who plays Maggie, is leaving. Of course, her story is open-ended, but because of that, they're bringing it in earlier. But I think it's going to have the same outcome. So that's going to be one of the parts of the episode. Another thing that I do want to mention about Lauren Cohan, of course, she's going to leave. We don't know if that's going to happen in this episode or the one after. Leaning more towards the next episode, episode 6, being Maggie's final episode. So because of that, I'm not going to talk too much about that, but I think what gets Maggie to leave is going to be either connected to what happens to Rick and maybe Maggie blaming herself, or it's going to connect to the new community that we are going to get into later on. And they've been teasing it with Georgie. We do know that Georgie is in a community, a stable community, and she's sending Maggie these letters. And this might be what gets Maggie to actually leave. However, is she going to leave the baby? How's that going to work? For now, I think there's only 2 ways in which Maggie could actually leave. One is blame herself for what happens to Rick and want to leave because of that, or she leaves to go to the new community Georgie is at, and they could write her out of the story that way. But that's the first part of the story. The next part of the story is Jadis, or Anne, and Father Gabriel. Of course, we do know that Jadis has a plan to take someone with her as a prisoner and go with the helicopter group to their community. And I'm sure that's exactly what Jadis or Anne is going to do. So that's going to be another part of the story that's going to be coming up. But the last thing, which could connect to the Jadis situation, is Rick and his final episode. Of course, there's going to be a big emphasis on Rick and his final scenes in this episode. There's going to be a lot of hallucinations, a lot of callbacks, a lot of flashbacks, a lot of old characters visiting us again. So that's going to be all exciting. But at the end of the day, is Rick going to survive or die? I'm leaning more towards Rick surviving. And I think what we are going to see is Jadis be connected to that somehow. I think there's a potential opportunity for them to write Rick out of the story by having Jadis take Rick as a prisoner, and they leave together in the chopper to go to the community. But that's basically my predictions for this episode. There's only going to be 3 parts to this episode, and they're all going to be connected somehow. But that's basically it for this video. See you next time for another super video. If you like what you see, press like, subscribe for more content, and press the bell button to receive notifications for daily uploads. Like and follow the Facebook page of this channel to join our community. And check out the upload schedule to learn more about daily uploads.